Bonjour! Yes, today we are going to be getting a major French event. I'm super excited. The French need an event more than any other faction. This major event will be called the Fool's Scales, and it will be the event corresponding with the 5th anniversary of Azur Lane on global servers. I'm super excited that we finally actually got a dedicated event for EN instead of just side events or a rerun like we have in the past years. So we got a lot to cover tonight, so let's get started. We'll start with the patch notes and the things that are coming to the game in general. As part of a celebration of our 5th anniversary, after maintenance, each player will be getting 600 gems, a ring, and a bunch of other rewards. And no, there are not 600 blueprints like was in the live stream that they showed. That was a typo. Sadly, we're only getting 6. Also part of the yearly anniversaries, we'll be getting a wishing well, we'll be rerunning the furniture sets, and we will be resetting the gem doubling when you make your first purchase. We are also getting a lot of mini events today, including the callback commander one, and we're getting an invitation. This invitation actually has option for a Magi in Richelieu, and there's a mini event that gives us a free skin for Kiev. And speaking of skins, I think that's a perfect segue into the event. This event will bring us plenty of new skins, a lot of L2Ds. Don't forget the end of stream spoiler for the Scuba Enterprise skin.
少し慣れてきた。指揮官は大丈夫か？付き合ってくれるのは嬉しいが、あまり無理はしないでほしい。
These will be available for purchase in the $30 lucky bag. However, Kiev's skin is not the only free skin. Yorktown is getting an Oath skin. They actually finished it and released it. It looks awfully familiar. Also, while these aren't new skins, Hindenburg and Kersauge are finally getting dynamic animations added to their default skins. I suppose that means it's about time for me to make a PR6 review video. The event will bring us a new dorm as well as some new gear skins. The new event looks like it's going to be a big lore drop for those of you who care about that. The newest tarot card turned arbiter is the Hierophant. Marco Polo gets deleted? Anyway, looking at the event map, the gear drops are actually pretty good. D1 and D2 both have SR French guns. The destroyer guns in D1, the cruiser guns in D2. Both are good to pick up. I would grind one of those two maps. Personally, probably going to go with D1 myself. Great event to have for PR6 grinding. Painleve is going to drop in D3, but honestly, you can pick her up in the shop, so you don't really need to grind her in the event. Speaking of the shop, it's pretty basic, but you can also pick up the newest light cruiser gun. We'll talk more about the light cruiser gun later, but it's a free pickup, basically just 2,000 points. And with that, I think it's about time to get into the ships. Before I get into this update's ships, last week we had a minor update with only one ship added, and I didn't do a data mine, and I just want to put in my review right now. This is, of course, the SR light cruiser from Vichy, France, Marseillaise, named after the French national anthem. I didn't expect too much from her, and her stats are terrible. She has really low HP, and her survivability related stats are not that great. Her first skill tries to fix that by increasing her speed, her evasion, putting a damage reduction on her, as well as giving her a shield. So that first skill actually kind of solves some of her survivability issues. It doesn't make her tanky or anything like that, but it helps make up for the fact that she has horrendous stats. And if it were just that, she'd probably be forgotten into the realms of hundreds of ship girls that we have in this game. But skill number 2 is a universal French buff. Sure, it's nice that she increases her firepower and accuracy, but buffing all of the French ships from a Vanguard slot is amazing. On top of that, she heals them too. Not a massive heal, but still, it's a Vanguard slot, and it can stack with Richelieu. This ship basically becomes a must run in an all-French fleet, and this ship single-handedly made me so excited for this French event, because if the French get any ships that are good today, this ship instantly makes them better, and it will be really fun to use a French fleet. But we have to see what today brings. Marseillaise can only be as good as the ships she can buff, and before today's event, the French faction is lacking a lot. It really only has Richelieu. But before we get into the brand new ships, we still have to go over a few upgrades to other ships. PR5 finally got their Fate Simulated 5 upgrades, so we'll take a look at those. There's only 3 of them. Prince Rupert gets a lot of buffs. They buffed her ghost gun as well as her barrage. Now she becomes a healer on that barrage, and she gets her increased increase in firepower and torpedo on the 4th trigger of her secondary gun instead of the 8th. All of these things are very nice. She's a lot better and has a lot more DPS, but it's really hard for her to take any slot because there are already 3 Rainbow Ironblood ships that are much better than her. But for fans of her, she gets a lot better. Chkalov will also be getting an upgrade in damage to her barrage. Additionally, this barrage will now create a slow when it hits enemies, so that's kind of neat. Overall, this doesn't really change much about Chkalov. August von Parzival is still a better slow. I suppose it will make the damage consistency of her torpedo bombers a little bit better, but not a massive change to her. Harbin doesn't have a lot of changes, but they are actually pretty meaningful. She also gets an enhanced barrage. This one's gonna almost double her damage output on her barrage, so that's really nice. Also, her on-damage self-stat boosts will be 5 and 8% respectively instead of 4 and 5% that it was before. Honestly, Harbin was already a great ship before this, and this makes her better. Post Fate Sim +5, Harbin is a beast. All right, with that out of the way, we have one more ship before we get to the new ships, and that is the newest Retrofit. No, it's not Richelieu. It's not even a French ship. It's West Virginia? Yes, a good old throwback to this US battleship. With the Retrofit, she gets some stat boost, although it's not really a lot, like 30 firepower and like 200 HP. Like, it's not a huge difference given that this is a pretty old ship and has been power crept a lot. She upgrades her Big 7 skill to now have a 70% chance to fire instead of 40% chance, so not perfect, but at least an improvement. Additionally, it will guarantee to proc when she falls below 35% HP. So that's actually kind of nice. So before she dies, she's almost guaranteed to have this barrage. I guess technically if you one-shot her from like half health, then she won't fire it. The barrage, well, I mean, the Big 7 was a great barrage back in like 2019. I don't know how good it is these days, but I mean, we're increasing the chances of this barrage and guaranteeing it comes out when she takes damage. She also gets a second skill. It gives her 12% firepower, which she desperately needs. Also, if there is another battleship or battle cruiser in the fleet, she gets 12% hit stat and anti-air stat. Okay. In addition, she also has an enhanced barrage for her Big 7, which was the skill before, and enemies hit by that barrage lose 30% speed and take 8% more damage from battleships for 5 seconds. So it's basically kind of almost just enhancing the first skill. I mean, literally, I don't even know if they needed to put that on a second skill. They could have literally just added that to the first skill. So we're really relying on just making her barrage a lot better. Obviously, she gets stat boosts and those are nice, but she was an elite before, a really old elite ship. So it really just kind of brings her up to date on SR ships today. I don't think West Virginia Retrofit's very good, honestly. Like, if you like her, great. Now you can use her, but I don't think this is good. This is not in 2023. All right, finally, what you've all been waiting for, we will get down to the 6 new French event ships. We will start off with the SR battleship from Vichy, France, Clemenceau. Stat-wise, as expected, she's very similar to Richelieu. She's a little bit more offensive-oriented at the expense of some survivability. Like all the other French battleships, she is inflicted with the curse of not being able to fire 3 shots in her battleship salvos. Of course, she is compensated for this by getting a preloaded strike. So in that case, she's at least on theme with the French faction being the firing fast with fire faction. But long sustained battles aren't probably going to be for her. Skill number 1, she gets 12% extra hit stat. If there is a Vichy France ship, wait, no Free France? Only Vichy France? Wait a second. So she doesn't get to help with the Free France? She splits the faction? Oh, that's so annoying. I don't even know the difference between some of those half the time. That's so annoying. Anyway, if there is a Vichy France ship in the Vanguard, she gets 10% reload. That's it. 10% reload stat? That's it? I was gonna say if that was a really good buff for it, she could always have Marseillaise to cover it because she's at least Vichy France. Honestly, I don't know if missing this would be detrimental, but you probably are gonna run it with the Marseillaise. For every Vichy France ship in the fleet, she also gets plus 5% firepower and anti-air. She obviously counts herself, and if you use Marseillaise, that will count her, but it only counts for Vichy France, so you can't even use Richelieu, but you obviously are going to want to use Richelieu because Richelieu is going to buff her. Oh, that's so annoying. They should have made it Free France and Vichy France. Like, the fact it's only Vichy France, that's so... that's garbage. Okay. I'm not too happy with that skill, honestly. She basically just buffs when she's with Vichy French. It locks her to French faction, which I don't like, and it doesn't even give her the full French faction. It gives her half of the French faction. So, yeah, I really don't like that skill. No. No. Skill number 2. Let's hope it's better. When this ship fires her main guns, 75% chance to fire a special barrage. 75% chance? In 2023, we have a 75% chance barrage. Okay. I mean, here are the damage barrage here. In case you're wondering, this is actually for all of them, but okay, that's the barrage. If there are 5 French ships, and this one is Vichy French or Free France, thank gosh, or you have a French gear equipped, that actually is pretty easy. You probably don't need to meet that first requirement ever because you're probably going to put French gear on her anyway, especially in like the auxiliary gun slot. So yeah, that's not actually a hard thing because she can equip destroyer guns, so you can just put a French DD gun on her and get this skill without having to deal with all those French ships, which are bad. Anyway, she increases the barrage proc by 25%, so that actually makes it 100%. There we go. Okay, I like that a lot better. That's actually good. Enemies hit by the barrage have a debuff of minus 5% firepower, torpedo, and aviation for 5 seconds. I mean, realistically, that's a pretty small debuff, and if they're not, like, firing in that, like, aviation, like, so if it's going to hit a carrier, and the carrier doesn't launch the airstrike in the 5 seconds from being hit on the barrage, then it doesn't even matter, and it's only 5%. This isn't that good either. I mean, the barrage isn't bad, but it's not even that great, especially when we're considering against UR barrages. Okay, she's got one more skill. Her main gun crit rate gets increased by 12%, so okay, that's cool. She can crit more. She gets plus 15% crit damage, and the first time you manually fire the main gun, they will crit automatically. Okay, so we gotta manually fire it. It only happens the first time. Honestly, my analysis of this ship it's disappointing. Honestly, like, just all around, I feel like this ship is not that great, and just, yeah, I don't know. She's locked to the French faction really hard and not even that good. You're going to use her over Jean Bart. She's definitely better than Jean Bart. You're going to use her over that, but there's not a lot of other options here. I mean, we are getting a carrier, so hopefully she's good. I mean, if this is the banner ship, you would expect this to be like good, interesting, and it's supposed to carry the banner. Okay, I'm going to stop harping on it and we'll move on to the next ship. This is the SR light cruiser from Free France. So yes, it won't actually work with Clemenceau. Guichen. And like a lot of other French Vanguard ships, Guichen is not very tanky. Nothing really stands out as being great here. Now her stats are a little bit better than Marseillaise, but around the board, yeah, she's still going to have survivability issues. She's going to be super reliant on her skills being good to be useful because her stats leave a lot to be desired. Skill number 1, she gets plus 3 speed, plus 15% evasion, and plus 8% evasion rate. All right, right there is the survivability solution. She's going to hopefully be dodging everything. Every 6 main gun shots she fires, she triggers one of the following randomly. Okay, she fires a special barrage. She fires 2 shots from a weapon of the same characteristic as the currently equipped main gun. What? This is like an overly complicated skill. There's the randomness involved. There's the special barrage. There's 2 shots from a weapon. I mean, the nice part about that is, at least in theory, the damage from this ship will scale with the weapons as the weapons get power crept in the future. So that's at least kind of nice. I like that thought process. That's a new type of skill. I don't know why we had to have this like random trigger. Like, honestly, would it be that bad if we had both? I don't know. It solves this issue of survivability. I mean, her stats suck, so she'd have to waste a skill basically to solve the survivability issue. And she doesn't have a lot of damage, so it kind of is getting towards that. But I don't know. The randomness is is just weird. Okay. Skill number 2, she gets plus 15% firepower and anti-air, so that's going to help more with the damage. And when an enemy aircraft is shot down, she gets plus 5% anti-air, and that stacks 5 times for a max of 25%. Okay, that's not that good. At the start of battle, randomly select one stat: firepower, torpedo, or hit stat. Every time this ship fires her torpedoes, increase that stat by 5%. That stacks a max of 3 times. Now that's 3 times it can activate. So it could be 3 times firepower, 1 time firepower, 1 time torpedo, 1 time hit stat. Like, that's it. You can't actually stack each stat 3 times. So that's not actually that great. And it's completely random. Man, this ship really is into the random theme here. Also, if there are any other French ships in the fleet, you can set a random enemy's speed to 0. Well, there it is with the random again. There's a lot of random with this ship. I wonder what the personality will be. Like, it better be random because there's so many randomness factors in this ship. Anyway, a slow from the Vanguard is actually really interesting. It's guaranteed. It's a guaranteed slow. You just don't know who it's going to hit, so that kind of is weird. Also, it didn't technically say that it has to hit a moving target, so like in PvP, could it technically randomly hit a backline target that can't move already? I don't know. I have to test that out, but I would think it can, so that would make it not very good. It's only 2 seconds. It's not a lot. It is guaranteed, though. It's nice. It doesn't actually even have to hit. It's not like a barrage that can miss. It just happens. I really do actually like that slow. I think everything else about this ship is pretty bad. I don't know. It's okay. Honestly, with the bar that was set by Clemenceau, Guichen is honestly probably better just because of that slow. The slow is guaranteed. It's a full freeze. It's not like a partial freeze where they decrease speed. It's a full freeze, but it's still random. Everything about this ship is random, so like nothing can be done consistently. At least you can actually time it with the torpedoes, so you can swap out the torpedo gear to like pick out exactly when you need to time it right with your backline. So that's nice. I don't know. That part, I think they got something going there, and I hope they bring that part back. I also hope they bring back that like fire shots from a weapon of the same characteristics. I like that. The randomness is weird. The stats are bad. This ship's okay. It's definitely a like okay pickup. If you're gonna run France, you're probably gonna need to pick up both of those because France is just it doesn't have a long roster of French ships, like, so you're just gonna need these, I guess. Literally, so far, the best French ship is the one that came in the mini event last week. Oh boy. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I guess technically this one also has an all-out assault at 8 shots. That's pretty standard with Vanguard ships. Okay, moving on to the next one. We got an aircraft carrier from Free France, Painleve. Hopefully she's better than Joffrey, please. Although if the other 2 ships were anything to say, I'm not too hopeful about this one anymore. She's a free ship. You can get her in the shop or a drop. So, you know, great. You don't have to waste cubes for her. As a French carrier, she has access to the Angel Feathers heal, which is nice. So that's probably going to be a lock item to throw on her. Stat-wise, she is not very good. She has almost identical stats to Joffrey. She also has the same loadout with 3-2-3, 3 fighters, 2 dive bombers, and 3 torpedo bombers. Slightly better than the standard 3-3-2, but we've been getting a ton of carriers that have better loadouts than that recently. So once again, I feel like these ships should have come like 2 years ago. I don't know. Anyway, hopefully the skills are good, so let's move into the skills. Skill number 1, every 18 seconds, trigger one of the following randomly. There's that randomly again. Okay, increase damage dealt by self and the flagship by 8% for 8 seconds. It cannot stack with itself. So actually, you want her to be off of flagship so that you can buff the flagship's damage and her damage. 8 seconds is actually a decent chunk of time. It's a decent window. That's decent, although it's not guaranteed. It's random. It's like a 50% chance. Anyway, the other chance that she has is that she increases her aviation stat by 15%, and the lead ship in the Vanguard gets minus 8% damage taken for 10 seconds. Both of these are actually decent. Nothing would have prevented her from just getting both of them. Like, why couldn't she just have both of them every 18 seconds? That would have been fine. It's not like she's fantastic to begin with. But anyway, we randomly choose one of them, which means that we can't even consistently rely on the damage buff or the damage reduction. Like, you have to kind of just hope. I mean, this would be so much better if you could choose which one based on which plane she equipped. So she had like a flex slot for one of her planes and she could choose. Like Aquila does that. I mean, that's a great mechanic, but having it just be random, it sucks. You just can't use it reliably. Skill number 2, she gets plus 15% reload. 5 seconds after the ship fires an airstrike, she heals 7% to this ship and all Vanguard fleets. Okay, so that's like a really good heal. It's weird that it's 5 seconds after the airstrike. Also, she doesn't have like an early strike, so it's still going to be pretty late in the battle, and even later because it's 5 seconds delayed. And she also has like a heal when she has the angel feather, so it's like, okay, so she's going to be massive healing. If the character being healed is below 25%, heal an additional 100. Oh, what good that's gonna be. 100 HP? What is this? Like an additional 100 HP. That's like a waste of text. That's a waste of code. Why did we write that? It's 7% HP heals. Like 7%. This could be like 7% of Musashi's. Like, we're talking about like 6,000 HP ships and we're like 100. We're gonna add 100 to it. Just, I can't even. This ship is also not very good. I mean, the heal's actually decent. I mean, it's a lot of heal, but like Perseus has 7% and she has a double preloaded. So like no one's gonna run this unless you're required to run French ships. All right, that's all the SRs. That's all it is. All 3 SRs are like not that good. Dare I say that we go to the elites? If there's an elite that's more powerful than these SRs, oh, that'd be crazy. All right, let's take a look. All right, we got elite battleship Lyon, and she's got elite battleship stats. That's not great. Interestingly enough, she actually doesn't have a preloaded salvo, and she has 3 shots. So that's a French battleship that doesn't have a preloaded and she fires like normal. So that's interesting at least. Skill number 1, when the ship fires her main gun, 50% chance to fire a special barrage. What is this, 2019? Like seriously, 50% chance. I know it's an elite, but that's it. That's the whole skill. It's just a barrage, 50-50 chance. Skill number 2. That is so short. Plus 10% firepower and hit stat. Minus 10% shelling and torp damage taken. They went real simple with this one. Were they doing a challenge over at like Manju? Like, how short can we make the skill? Like, can we make this have like the shortest skills? I mean, yeah, this is not good. Okay, moving on. Thank you. Next up we have the elite heavy cruiser, mind you, torpedo heavy cruiser, Suffren. I am not optimistic about this one. Stats are horrendous. Okay, moving on to skills. Plus 15% firepower and torpedo stat at the start of the battle, and every 6 main gun shot she has. Plus 10% self-damage dealt for 30 seconds. It does not stack with itself, but it does have additional procs that refresh it. So, I mean, 10% damage dealt, that's nice. That actually helps a little bit. And then skill number 2, plus 10% evasion and anti-air. If the ship is equipped with any French gear, minus 10% damage taken for all French ships in the fleet. Ooh, that's actually interesting. Like, that's an actual interesting equipment. Why could that just be on the SR? Why couldn't that just be on the SR body with the SR stats? Okay, I mean, that's actually decent. I'm like kind of happy about that. And then she has an all-out assault. So it's pretty basic. I mean, she's got really bad stats. She does have some skills that help with that DPS. Damage dealt 10%, that helps. And it's pretty much always online, like permanently online, basically. So that's cool. She does have to have a fast gun. And yeah, I mean, what year is this? I'm talking about potentially using an elite ship, an elite heavy cruiser torpedo ship in 2023. What is this event? I don't know. I mean, damage reduction for all of the other French ships makes this ship actually interesting. I don't know if it's actually better than the other ones. I'm just kind of joking. It's still not a good ship, but at least it's an interesting skill. And then finally, we have the elite destroyer, and she's the collection from Vichy, France, Kersaint. Under 2,000 HP. She doesn't even have a lot of torpedo stat or efficiency, and yeah, I mean, at least she's fast. but that's pretty standard. Like 43 speed's pretty good, I guess. Okay, let's see. Skill number 1, and the only skill she has that's not an all-out assault, so hopefully it's good. Plus 10% anti-air and anti-submarine warfare. Every 20 seconds, trigger one of the following randomly. What is with this randomly, man? Okay, she can either get 20% firepower and torpedo stat for 10 seconds, or she can get 20% crit rate and crit damage for 10 seconds, or she can heal 5% the lowest HP French ship in the fleet, which if you don't have any others would technically be just her. Okay, all bad. Yeah, that's like the whole event. The whole set of new ships are just not very good. I mean, Suffren is like one of the most interesting ones to me, and she's the elite, and she's not even that good. Guichen is actually might be the best ship here. I don't know. The Freeze is interesting, but she's just not that good. And Clemenceau, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you have to use her in a Vichy France setup, and Vichy France doesn't just have a lot of good ships, so that's really hard. The French event, the French got done dirty here, man. I mean, EN Global Anniversary, I'm glad we got a new event, but man, this event, not that great. They did the French dirty here. I don't know. I mean, technically, I still have another gear to go on, but it's not like I even care what that gear goes on. It's not going to go on any good ships. I guess it could go on like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what my French fleet would be. It would probably be Richelieu, Flandre, and Clemenceau for the back line, and then it's gotta be Marseillaise, maybe Guichen and Algerie. Algerie just got an augment module. No. You gotta get Brest in there. Brest has gotta be in there, definitely. Yeah, so it would be Brest, probably even St. Louis. Brest, St. Louis, and Marseillaise. So like old stuff. Yeah, almost none of it. And you could really sub like Clemenceau for Champagne, and you wouldn't really be missing anything. So you could literally run a full French faction fleet, which is, by the way, the weakest faction probably in the game. Maybe the Chinese faction, but yeah, probably the weakest faction that has capital ships. And you could run a full one from all ships outside this event. That's probably also the ideal. I mean, 2 of those ships are new, but they're not from this event. So this event brings us no really good ships to add to the French faction. Maybe you run Clemenceau. You probably do. And so, you know, whatever. But one ship maybe, and she's like a side grade. She's not even a direct upgrade. She's like a side grade. Wow, this event was beyond terrible for the French. I don't know. All right. Anyway, sorry, that was the rambling. I have the equipment. I'll go over the equipment. I've already done my review and conclusion on this, but the equipment, the 152 millimeter MLE 1930 gun. It's a HE gun. It's for light cruisers only. It's an SR gun. So this gun kind of looks very similar to the Sakura Empire triple 155mm third year type, which is a pretty old gun. It's also kind of similar to the triple 152mm prototype gun that you get, the Seattle gun from Research. It's somewhere in between those two guns because it does a little bit less damage than the Sakura Empire gun, but it shoots faster, and it shoots a little bit slower and does more damage than the Seattle gun. So it's somewhere in between there. It obviously has that Iris Libre tag, so you can equip it on all of those ships that need an Iris Libre equipment to get their enhanced skills. But generally, honestly, it's like probably somewhere in the range of those. I don't even think it would be better than either of those two. And those two aren't even best in slot anymore. Those have been power crept. Those light cruiser guns have definitely been power crept. Those are old. Those are very old light cruiser guns. I mean, it just continues with the theme that this event feels like it was made in 2020 and it just got shelved, and they brought it back out later because they were like, oh, we don't have anything for EN. We made this event, 2020, 2021, and we're just gonna, like, I don't know. All the ships are not to today's power level. They're not even that interesting, in my opinion, personally. The gear is still like, from that time. It just feels like a 2 to 3 year old event. I don't know. I feel like I don't trash on these events too much. I generally am super excited for new events, especially for factions that have not gotten love in a while. And to have a faction that is routinely seen as one that is one of the most unloved factions and not had an event in a very long time, at least like a full banner event, and even the last time they had like 1 or 2 good ships, and for them to wait all that time and they get this whole banner and literally have like none of them be that good. Maybe one of them gets slotted into the French faction. I don't know. This is Very disappointing event. Sorry, I wish I could say more, be more excited. I guess Harbin. Harbin is the winner of today. I feel like Harbin got a good Fate simulation. So I guess that's the high note we're going to end on today. Thank you guys for watching. I super appreciate it. I'll be playing this event on stream, so make sure to catch that if you can. Subscribe if you want to. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.